Ambassador Zekthor's translator implant stuttered as it processed the human diplomat's words. The Vraxian had attended countless first contact ceremonies across the galaxy, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. "You brought weapons to a peace conference?" Zekthor's four eyes widened in horror, his chitinous plates rattling with indignation. Captain Maria Santos smiled warmly, her hand resting on the head of the creature beside her. The beast stood waist-high to the human, covered in golden fur with powerful jaws that could crush bone and eyes that tracked every movement in the conference hall with predatory precision. "Weapons? Oh, you mean Rex?" Maria laughed, her fingers scratching behind the creature's ears. The beast's tail wagged, and it panted happily, tongue lolling. "He's not a weapon. He's my good boy. Aren't you, Rex?" "Yes, you are." Zekthor took 3 steps backward. The creature's teeth were clearly visible, each one designed for tearing flesh. Its claws clicked against the metal floor with each movement. By the void, humans had domesticated an apex predator and brought it to a diplomatic summit. "Captain Santos," Zekthor said carefully, "that creature is clearly a carnivorous hunter. Its physical structure indicates it evolved to chase down and kill prey. The musculature alone suggests it could overpower most sentient species in this room." "Well, yeah," Maria agreed cheerfully. "Golden retrievers were originally bred for hunting. But Rex here wouldn't hurt a fly. Would you, buddy?" She produced a small object from her pocket, and the beast's entire demeanor shifted to intense focus. "Sit." The creature immediately dropped its haunches to the floor, trembling with barely contained excitement. "Good boy." Maria tossed the object and the beast exploded into motion, crossing the conference hall in seconds to snatch it from the air. Several alien delegates shrieked and dove for cover. Zekthor's survival instincts screamed at him to run, but he forced himself to remain still. The creature bounded back to Maria, tail wagging so hard its entire body wiggled and dropped the object at her feet. It sat again, looking up at her with what could only be described as pure adoration. I don't understand," Zekthor admitted. "You've bonded with a predator?" "Oh, you should see my cat," Maria said casually. "Now that's a predator. Rex here is basically a furry diplomat himself. The Vraxian's translator must have malfunctioned again." "You're what?" Before Maria could answer, the conference room doors burst open. A Krell warrior stumbled in, his weapon drawn, his breathing labored. "Ambush, the Drax Collective has surrounded the building. They're breaching the lower levels." Chaos erupted. Delegates scattered, security protocols activated, and alarms blared through the station. Maria's expression hardened instantly. She tapped her communicator. "Santos to security team. Bring in the unit." "Unit?" Zekthor asked, his voice barely a whisper. The answer came in the form of thunder, the synchronized pounding of dozens of paws against metal deck plating. Through the corridor poured a pack of creatures like Rex, but also others. Sleek black ones with pointed ears, massive ones with heavy jowls, small ones that moved like coiled springs. Each wore a vest marked with the human insignia, and each moved with disciplined precision. Behind them came their handlers, human soldiers who directed the pack with simple words and hand signals. The creatures fanned out across the conference center with military efficiency. "Target acquisition teams deploy," Maria commanded. "Standard search and secure." Zekthor watched in stunned silence as the beasts went to work. They moved through the building in coordinated groups, their sensitive noses detecting the Drax infiltrators long before any scanner could. One of the larger creatures, Maria called it a German Shepherd, cornered 3 Drax soldiers in a side corridor. It didn't attack, but simply stood there, lips pulled back in a silent snarl until human security arrived. Another creature, something called a border collie, herded panicked delegates to safety with the same instincts it once used on Earth livestock. A massive beast labeled a Rottweiler stood guard over the injured, allowing no one near until medical teams arrived. Within 20 minutes, the situation was contained. Not a single shot had been fired. The Drax soldiers, hardened warriors who had terrorized a dozen systems, had surrendered rather than face the creatures they believed to be demons from human mythology. As the delegates regrouped, Zekthor approached Maria, who was rewarding Rex with what she called treats. "I need to understand," the ambassador said. "These creatures dogs, you call them?" "They would die for you, wouldn't they?" "Without hesitation," Maria confirmed, her voice soft with affection. She knelt beside Rex, wrapping her arms around the beast's neck. Humans and dogs have been partners for over 30,000 years. They were with us when we lived in caves. They helped us hunt, guarded our children, kept us warm in the cold. They followed us to the stars because that's what they do. They're loyal. But they're predators, Zekthor insisted. So are we, Maria said simply. Maybe that's why we understand each other so well. We both know what it means to hunt, to protect, to be part of a pack. The difference is we chose to point those instincts at protecting what we love instead of just surviving. Rex barked once, tail wagging, and pressed his head against Maria's chest. You humans, Zekthor said, a note of wonder creeping into his voice. You don't just bond with predators. You turn them into family. Not just predators, Maria corrected with a grin. Wait until you meet our cats. They domesticated themselves and decided to let us stick around. Now that's apex predator confidence. As Zekthor filed his report that evening, he added a new note to humanity's profile. Species demonstrates unprecedented ability to form partnerships with other apex predators. Recommend extreme caution in any military engagement. Humanity does not fight alone. They bring their friends. And somewhere in the human quarters, Rex dreamed of treats and belly rubs, completely unaware that to the rest of the galaxy he was a monster. To Maria, he would always be her good boy.